Hello everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the webinar From Metrics to Meaningful Communication with Zoho Cliq. Let's start with a number that might surprise you, or maybe it won't if you're living it every day. On average, employees spend around 2.5 hours every single day just reading and replying to messages. And when you think about it, that's almost one third of an 8-hour workday gone. We all talk a lot, yes, in meetings, in DMs, email threads, but the problem is, once the conversation ends, it often just disappears. Unless you actively capture the action items or someone follows up right away, the details can get buried under the next wave of updates. The challenge isn't that we're not communicating enough, it's that we're not always making the outcomes of these conversations visible and trackable. And without that visibility, we can't really measure how effective a communication really is. Now imagine if every important work conversation didn't just happen and vanish, but turned directly into something more useful. Conversations could turn into actions where the moment you agree on something, you can assign it or follow up without leaving the chat. Messages could turn into metrics where updates aren't just words, but real numbers that you can track over time. And threads could turn into reports, so all the context, discussions, and outcomes are already packaged and neatly set up and ready to be reviewed later. That's what data driven communication is all about. It's about making the conversations they're already having easier to track, easier to act on, and easier to review later. Now, when we don't measure communication, we lose visibility into what's actually happening. Important details get scattered across different tools, a chat here, an email there, or even a note in someone's personal doc. This makes it harder for the team to stay aligned and even harder to make confident decisions. Follow ups can slip through the cracks simply because no one is tracking them in a structured way. And over time, this lack of clarity leads to delays, duplicated work, and missed opportunities. Without measurable communication, it's like playing a game with no scoreboard. You're putting in the effort, but you can't really tell if you're winning or losing. So when we start measuring communication, the difference is immediate. Conversations become more than just exchanges, right? They become a record of decisions, actions, and progress. You can see what's been agreed on, assign ownerships, and track follow through without leaving the discussion. It also makes reviews much easier where instead of just scrambling around to pull together data updates at the end of the month or the quarter, the information is already organized and tied to the context in which it happened. So measurable communication turns chat from something passive into a driver of real outcomes. In Click, conversations aren't just limited to plain text. They can carry structured, easy to read data right alongside your messages. That could be a quick project status update or a chart that shows weekly performance or a table that puts the key figures into context. And once that data is in the conversation, it's easier for everyone to understand and act on it. But how do we get the data into our conversations without spending half the day copy pasting it and updating it ourselves? The best part is you don't have to go around and update these numbers yourself every single time. With Click, data can flow in automatically from the apps that you're already using. So that means the figures you're seeing in the chart are always current without anyone having to stop and do the extra work. It's fast, it's accurate, and it keeps the conversation moving instead of getting stuck on who has the latest update. And honestly, it's a huge step up from manually pasting data because that is time consuming and it forces you to update every single time something changes or there's an update, and it leaves plenty of room for errors when you're juggling so many numbers at once. The way we make this happen is through the Click developer platform, or Click platform for short. It is a toolkit inside of Click that lets you modify the way you use it, from automating everyday workflows to pulling in data from other apps, all without ever leaving your chat. You can integrate with Zoho's own apps or connect to third-party tools, and you can even extend it using Deluge, which is Zoho's scripting language, Or if you're familiar with other languages like C++ or Java, you can use that too through the Zoho Catalyst app. Now, essentially, the Click developer platform is like a bridge that is between your data sources and your daily conversations in Zoho Click. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Click platform, let's quickly run through
For
what it's
those
made of.
of you
So
who
the
aren't
platform has
familiar with the
multiple
Click
internal
platform, let's
components,
quickly
but to
run
make it
through
simpler,
what
I
it's
have
made of,
split them
right? The
into
platform
four
has
simple
multiple
categories.
components.
The
First is the
internal
user
components,
interface
but to make
component.
it simpler,
So these
I
are the
have
elements
split
that
them into
user
four
interacts
categories
with, and that
First
help
is the user
display
interface
information
in your
elements.
conversation.
So these are the
Next up
elements
are
that the
the
user
computational
interacts with,
components,
and that
which
help
are
display
basically
the
the brain
information
that
in your
process data and trigger
in your
actions. Then we
messages.
have integration components. So these help you connect Click to other apps, whether they're Zoho or even third-party apps, sorry, tools that
Yes.
you use. And finally is the storage component, which securely stores all your user data and your app data. So inside of the user interface are like a couple of elements which we'll go through in short forms. And we're not going to go too much deep into it. We're just going to go through them all. So think of bots as your digital assistants that send updates, respond to commands, and push data into conversations. And message actions, which are quick actions triggered directly from a message to kick off a workflow or a task. And slash commands or short commands that you type in the chat to instantly perform an action or fetch data. And widgets or visual dashboards that show real-time data right inside of Click. And forms or interactive fields that let you collect and submit information without leaving the chat. So next are the computational components. These are the brains behind the scenes. Schedulers, as the name suggests, are time-based triggers that automatically run actions at a set interval. And functions or custom logics are pieces of code written in Deluge or even other languages through Zoho Catalyst, like I mentioned, that get executed or to process data or automate tasks when a trigger happens, like a slash command or a bot function. Then we have the integration components, which are right now is all about connections. So those of you who have connected Click with other apps through APIs know how hard they are. They're not really user friendly. But with connections, you have a visible UI. So this makes it much more user friendly. So you know how you can connect Click with the other apps. So through that UI, you can easily and securely connect Click with other Zoho apps or third-party apps. Finally, there's the storage component, which is the database. This is where you can securely store your app's configuration or user data without needing to rely on an external service to manage it. So a lot of people get confused between databases and actual storage, which is Workday, where you can store files. So Workday apps like Workday is where you can store files. So it gives you a cloud storage space. But when you create an app, right? So there is Click, and when you create an app inside of Click, like through the developer platform, you need a space to store it somewhere. That is where the database storage comes in. So when you pull in data from another app, like user data or like emails, you will need to store it somewhere. Usually, what happens is people store it in another third party storage servers, but seeing as to how they could not be secure and there are some security risks involved, we are providing our own storage component, which is the database paired with the developer platform. So we will store everything in our own servers. So you don't have to worry about security when you are creating an app over Click through the Click developer platform. Now, we've just looked at the tools and the concepts. Now, let's see them in action. I'm going to walk you through a real example of how data can flow directly into Click, spark a focused conversation, and lead to concrete actions. This is all without leaving the chat. Now, this is where everything we've talked about automation, integration, and in context collaboration comes together in one seamless flow. Now, let's say our team is working in a channel called prospects. In our case, prospects is the channel where the sales team tracks every new lead that comes in. In this example, we've set up a bot that automatically posts in a channel whenever a new lead is added. So instead of someone manually telling the team, hey, we've got a new lead, the update just appears instantly and for everyone to see. It can include the lead's name, the contact details, and any key notes so the team can jump in right away to follow up or start planning the next steps. So this means new opportunities don't just get buried in emails or forgotten in someone's notebook. They're right there in the conversation, ready for action. And now, once the bot posts in the prospects channel, the follow-up discussion happens right in a thread. This keeps all the context together, the original update from the bot, the team's input, and any decisions made without cluttering the main channel. Obviously, in the main channel, if another lead pops up, the bot is going to post there. So while we're discussing about this lead, and if another lead gets posted, it will clutter the channel. That is why the threads are useful. This makes it easier to revisit the conversation later and quickly see what's been discussed upon for a particular lead and what has been agreed upon as the end result. Now let's check this particular example. Here you can see that um, Scott has already mentioned that he has a writer document, which is an email format for the same particular type of lead. So he has shared a writer document. So what can Fumiko do? So Fumiko, when she is checking out the lead in CRM, she will need this email draft or the email format that Scott has used or shared here. So what can she do? She can either star message it or pin this message in Cliq. But that still doesn't change the fact that the information is siloed between two apps, so Cliq and CRM. Because when she is going to check out the lead in CRM and she's going to take action in it, she is going to go to CRM instead of Cliq. So she needs that particular information in CRM with context. So what she can do is instead of pinning the message or starting the message in Cliq, she can probably bookmark it. But even bookmarking the link still means that she is still siloing the information between CRM and writer. So what would she need? So she could add this particular link as a note or this particular message. So instead of having to manually copy all this text and go to CRM and find that particular lead and add it as a note, she can do that straight from this particular message or this particular thread. So when you hover over it, here you can see that you have the options to react to a message, as everyone knows. Then when you click on the kebab button, you have the option to forward, copy, all the normal message actions that are common. So when you click on more, a pop-up shows up with all the custom message actions that you might have created or that is available to you via your organization. Here, Fumiko can just click on Add Notes to CRM. So as soon as she clicks it, a form pops up, which is going to let her select which lead it is and so she's going to choose the leads module and she's going to choose which lead it is. So here you can see that in the under note content, the message on which this message action has been performed is already copied and pasted automatically without her doing anything. So she just had to add a note title if she wants. So she writes Scott's outreach template because obviously for um, like understanding or easier context, right? So she just had to add a note title and click on add note, and that will automatically add it as a note in Zoho CRM. So she has created a note in Zoho CRM without ever leaving the thread in which she is discussing it with Scott. Now let's go back to that same thread. And here, after sharing this particular email format, uh, Scott has also agreed that he will take Fumiko through the steps that he took with his previous lead during their Friday sales sync. So this is where Zia, which is our homegrown AI, um, that is specifically spearheaded for business purposes, comes in. So Zia automatically understands from the context of this message that something is about to happen on Friday, right? So here Zia automatically lets you perform an action on that particular context. So when you hover over the message, you can see that Friday is actionable. It becomes blue. So when you click on Friday, you have the option to add it to calendar, schedule meeting, or set reminder. So when a particular time or particular date is mentioned, Zia automatically understands from context that you might want to create a star, like add it to a calendar because that is a particular date or particular time, or set a reminder or even schedule a meeting. So instead of having to go to the like reminders section and setting a reminder for Scott, she can set a reminder directly from the context of the conversation with here in the thread. So when while clicking on reminder, here you can see that it is the reminder is set to that particular message. So when the reminder does hit, she gets context. She gets sent here to this thread, so she understands. She gets context about what this reminder is about. So she can also obviously write content there. So in case she needs some extra notes that she might want to know during the when the reminder hits, that she might want to tell Scott, ask Scott in the during the Friday sales sync. And here you can also see that the date and time is also the date, which is the August 15, which is Friday, is automatically set, and the time is set at 10 a.m. But by default. But you can also change it if you want, and you also have the option to uh, either remind yourself, which is Fumiko can remind herself, or she can remind Scott, or she can just remind everyone in the conversation where the reminder will hit everyone. So let's say this lead is interested in a product that we sell across multiple branches, right? So instead of just jumping between systems to check inventory, we can pull up a widget right inside of Click. Now, the default view might be something like this, which shows an overall inventory list across all the branches. And one click switches to a map view, so we can visually see stock availability in the different godowns that we own or the warehouses. Another click can bring up a sales chart, pulling live data from Zoho Analytics to show how each particular product has been selling recently. So in just a few clicks, without leaving the conversation, we have gone from getting a new lead notification, let's say discussing this lead is checking the stock in a product that we sell across multiple branches. Instead of jumping between systems directly into a conversation, we can pull up and helping us right inside of real time. So now this example we just walked through isn't the only way to shows an overall inventory list. What I showed you was one simple example, just one easy one click, something a sales team might use to track CRM leads. But remember, these are just tools and they give you unlimited freedom to design what works best for your team. A support team, for instance, might build a workflow that automatically posts high priority tickets into a channel for quicker action. Another sales team could set up reminders and dashboards to stay on top of their pipeline. The point is, whether you're in marketing, support, sales, or any other function, these components can be pieced together in a way that makes your work easier. So that's how we built our example, but now it's your turn. If you are excited to build something of your own for your own team, you can start right away. But if you're thinking, well, I'm not really in the mood to build something from scratch, we have got you covered. The Zoho Marketplace already has pre-built extensions that you can simply plug and play right inside of Click. So these are all ready to go. You just have to add them, connect your accounts if necessary, and then start working immediately. So think of these as a shortcut version of what we just walked through, except you just get to use it straight away. Now, if you do want something that, if you do want to build something, but you're not really quite sure how the Click platform works, we actually just did a full deep dive introductory webinar on the Click platform. It's up on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it there, or you can also scan this particular QR code here to watch it to watch it anytime. So in that session, we break down every single component in the developer platform, from bots to widgets to message actions. And we just show you how they all connect, how they all work at a fundamental level. So if you're new to the platform or just want a refresher, that is the perfect place to start. We also have a fully detailed help documentation that you can refer to at any time. It's all organized by feature with step-by-step instructions, examples, and even some ready-to-use snippets that you can copy into your own builds. So if you are looking for something specific, like exactly how to set up a bot command or connect to another app, you will find it there. And one of the best parts about working with the Click platform is the community. It is an active space where other Click users using many of whom just like you are using multiple apps across their day share what they've built and answer questions and even brainstorm ideas together. So I would encourage you all to experiment with your own builds, post them in the forums, and see what others are actually doing to make their work easier. So you never know. One of your solutions might just be what someone else is looking for. And in the rare case that you do get stuck, or you can't really find what you want in the community or in our help documentation, our support team is always there to help. You can reach out with questions or even pitch ideas that you think are a little too hard or a little too complex to build by yourself. Or we will work with you to figure out how we can or what is the best way to implement it or how we can make it happen. So you don't have to worry about anything. You will never be on your own when it comes to bringing your ideas into Zoho Cliq. Thank you so much for attending this webinar.